It succeeded the Julian calendar, which had served the Western world for over 15 centuries, but had accumulated a gradual drift from the solar year due to a small yet persistent miscalculation. The Gregorian reform sought to correct this misalignment and refine the structure of leap years, leading to the calendar that governs civil and religious life in much of the globe today. To understand the significance of the Gregorian calendar, one must first consider the context of the Julian system. The Julian calendar, introduced by Julius Caesar in the mid-1st century before the Common Era, was based on the assumption that the solar year, the time it takes Earth to complete one orbit around the Sun, lasted exactly 365 and 1/4 days. To approximate this, the calendar added an extra day every 4th year, creating what became known as a leap year. This method brought a greater sense of order and predictability to Roman and later Christian societies. However, the solar year is slightly shorter than 365 and 1/4 days. Its true length is closer to 365 days, 5 hours, 48 minutes, and 46 seconds. Though the discrepancy was minor, accumulating only a fraction of the day per year, it added up over the centuries. By the 16th century, the calendar was roughly 10 days out of alignment with the actual solar year. This drift affected the timing of the equinox and solstices, which in turn disrupted the calculation of important religious holidays, especially Easter. The Council of Nicaea in the early 4th century had established that Easter should be celebrated on the Sunday following the first full moon after the vernal equinox. With the calendar out of sync, the date of Easter was moving further away from the intended seasonal alignment. This inconsistency prompted growing concern within the Roman Catholic Church. By the time Pope Gregory XIII, the need for reform had become urgent. Pope Gregory XIII commissioned a group of scholars, astronomers, and mathematicians to address the problem. Chief among them was the Italian scientist Aloysius Lelius, whose proposals formed the foundation of the new system. The Gregorian reform, implemented in the year 1582, introduced two major changes. First, it removed 10 days from the calendar to realign it with the solar year. In countries that adopted the reforms immediately, the calendar jumped directly from the 4th of October to the 15th of October. Second, the leap year rule was adjusted to prevent future drift. Under the new rule, the year would be a new Under the new rule, a year would be a leap year if divisible by 4, except for years except for years divisible by 100. unless also divisible by 400. This modification eliminated 3 leap years every 4 centuries, bringing the average year length closer to the actual solar year. The implementation of the Gregorian calendar began in predominantly Catholic countries, including Italy, Spain, Portugal, and Poland. However, its adoption was not universal or immediate. Protestants in Orthodox regions were initially skeptical, viewing the reform as a Catholic imposition. England and its colonies, for example, did not adopt the Gregorian calendar until the year 1752. By that time, the discrepancy had grown to 11 days, and the calendar was adjusted accordingly. The delay led to public confusion and protests, which some citizens believed that the government had stolen days from their lives. Despite the initial resistance, the Gregorian calendar gradually gained acceptance due to its superior accuracy and practical benefits. Over time, most countries transitioned to the new system of for civil purposes. In some places, religious observances continued to follow the Julian calendar for a period, creating a temporary dual calendar environment. Eventually, even more Eastern Orthodox churches adopted the Gregorian calendar for fixed date celebrations, which retained the Julian calendar while retaining the Julian calendar for movable feasts such as Easter. The Gregorian calendar consists of 12 months, just like the Julian system, but its leap year rules make it more precise. The 3 months alternate between 30 and 31 days, except for February, which has 28 days in a common year, 29 days in a leap year. The cycle of leap years ensures that the calendar remains closely aligned with the Earth's revolutions around the Sun, minimizing seasonal drift. Beyond its technical improvements, the Gregorian calendar had far-reaching cultural, political, and religious consequences. Its adoption facilitated international coordination, standardization of dates, and the development of modern historical chronology. It also reflected the growing influence of empirical science and mathematical precision in shaping human understanding and organization of time. The reform marked a significant step in the transition from medieval to modern worldviews. One of the notable features of the Gregorian calendar is its enduring impact on global society. Today it is the internationally recognized standard for civil timekeeping. Governments, businesses, scientists, institutions, and educational systems around the world rely on it for scheduling, recording, keeping, and communicating. Record keeping. Right. Yeah, here we go. Let's start that one over again. Today, it is the most internationally recognized standard for civil timekeeping. Governments, businesses, scientists, institutions, and educational systems around the world rely on it for scheduling, record keeping, and communication. Its structure has become deeply embedded in the rhythm of daily life, shaping how people experience and measure the passage of time. The Gregorian calendar's influence extends to language and culture as well. The names of the months, inherited from the Roman calendar, are widely used in multiple languages. The division of the year into weeks of 7 days, though not unique to the Gregorian system, remains a central organizing principle. Holidays, seasons, fiscal quarters, and school terms are all framed by its structure. This widespread adoption has helped to unify human activities across geographical and cultural boundaries. Despite its broad acceptance, the Gregorian calendar is not without critics and alternative proposals. Some have suggested reforms to make months more uniform in length, or to establish permanent calendars with fixed days of the week for specific dates. Others have explored lunisolar calendars or revived interest in ancient systems. However, the entrenchment of the Gregorian calendar in global infrastructure has made such changes unlikely. The cost and complexity of transition to a new calendar system would be immense. Religious and cultural groups that maintain alternative calendars continue to observe their own timekeeping systems alongside the Gregorian calendar. The Islamic calendar, based on lunar cycles, and the Hebrew calendar, which is lunisolar, are also prominent examples. These calendars play vital roles in the spiritual and communal lives of their adherents, guiding rituals, festivals, and historical commemorations. In many cases, these systems coexist with the Gregorian calendar, illustrating the diversity of temporal frameworks in human society. Success of the Gregorian calendar lies in its balance of astronomical occurrences